Every day, something dramatic happens in the Caribbean that affects our lives. We'll give you the details. We'll give you the facts on Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick. How's Eddie Frederick?
So glad you can join us. CARPHA official says region dropped the ball on tourism. This story takes the lead in our 1038th edition of Caribbean Perspective for Thursday, 28th January 2021. Details after this break.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the Food Fair from anywhere in the world? And you can receive here in Grenada? The Food Fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
Welcome back. In an interview with Barbados Today, Executive Director of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, Dr. Joyce St. John, said people across the region had been lulled into a false sense of security. Stanley Lucian of HTS News Force reports.
Following initial successes in keeping COVID-19 numbers under control, several Caribbean nations are now confronted with a sharp and sustained spike in cases. The Executive Director of the Caribbean Public Health Agency, CARPHA, Dr. Joyce St. John, says this may be the result of complacency on the part of some of the region's governments during their quest to get their tourism sectors up and running.
Are those measures in place all the time? Because COVID just needs a little chink in your armor and it's in. So, not necessarily have the measures for safe return to tourism being applied. I think people were lulled into a false sense of security because earlier in the 2020 year, people would have done things and gotten away with it. And so some of the measures for safe return to tourism were not properly applied.
Dr. Joy cautions against the collapse of the nation's healthcare sectors, which she says underpin the economy and the general welfare and functioning of the societies.
We do not want to overwhelm the health services, and it's not just because it's the sector that I come from, but it is also the sector that supports the well-being and development of the whole country. If the health services are overwhelmed, it is difficult to maintain economic activity. People will be sick. People will be out because of quarantine. So we have to measure our response at this critical juncture so we do not have a situation of spread that is out of control.
The Caribbean is one of the most tourism-dependent regions of the world. That reality has led some of the governments of the region to open up to visitors from high-risk COVID-19 source markets like the United States and the United Kingdom at a time when other places kept their borders closed to those visitors. This decision, according to CARPHA, may have largely contributed to the significant upsurge in COVID-19 numbers. Stanley Lucian for the HTS News Force.
Barbados' Prime Minister Mia Mottley, meantime, on Tuesday night announced new measures to fight the spread of the COVID-19 virus in Barbados. Restricted movement will go into effect from February 3rd to 17th over a 15-day period, during which he says the island needs to pause. A national curfew will be in effect from 7 p.m. to 6 a.m. during that time, tightening up on the current 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. directive. Even as she urged residents and visitors not to panic, Mottley said the Caribbean Public Health Laboratory, CARPHA, confirmed the UK variant of COVID-19 was in Barbados, with 3 of the 10 samples being positive. During the restrictions, there will be new opening hours for supermarkets and banks, but village shops will close and vending will cease. People were urged to plan their business and don't rush on supermarkets because there is adequate food on the island. In declaring war on COVID-19 and dengue to a lesser extent, Motley also announced new measures for visitors and those coming on the welcome stamp. In other but related news, the results of 10 patient samples sent to the Caribbean Public Health Agency will by the end of this week determine whether or not there are any confirmed cases of the new COVID-19 variant in Guyana. HGP's Tamika Rodney tells us more.
It is expected that by the end of this week, Guyana will receive the results from 10 samples which were sent to the Caribbean Public Health Agency located in Trinidad and Tobago to test for the new COVID-19 variant. This is according to Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony, who made this revelation during Monday's COVID-19 update.
We haven't received the results as yet, but gene sequencing would take some time to do. In some cases, about 2 to 3 days to complete the whole sequence. So I suspect we'll get back the results maybe by the end of the week.
While it is unclear what method was used to select the samples that were sent to CARPHA, the Eureka Medical Laboratory had earlier this month indicated that a number of patient samples tested for COVID-19 in its lab were missing a third gene. This deficiency, the lab pointed out, suggests that the patients might have at least one of the new variants. Paul Chetty, the laboratory's virology department manager, in an exclusive interview with Nightly News, explained.
There is a characteristic of the test that allows us to presumptively know that the person may be infected with this new variant. Because our test is identifying 3 genes for the virus, and based on what we've seen, if one of the genes is absent, it's a good indicator that this person may be infected with this new variant of the virus. But it's not always the case, but based on what they've said, in many instances, it is the case.
He said that the cases could not be confirmed since the laboratory does not have the capacity to conduct an analysis of the genes. As it stands, the analysis needed to confirm the presence of the new variant cannot be done anywhere in Guyana. Jamaica, St. Lucia, Trinidad and Tobago, and Brazil have so far all confirmed cases of one of the new COVID-19 variants. The United Kingdom, where the variant was first detected in December, has since imposed a ban on travel from South American countries, including Ghana. Several Caribbean territories, including Jamaica, imposed the ban on travel from the United Kingdom, while Trinidad and Tobago renewed its protocols for persons entering the country from the United Kingdom. The updated protocols requires UK travelers to quarantine for 7 to 14 days in a state-supervised facility upon arrival into the country. Tamika Rodney reporting for the HGP Nightly News.
You're listening to Caribbean Perspective with Eddie Frederick.
A former minister and former manager in Guyana have been charged by the police in a matter that was advised upon by the police legal advisor in 2019. More political than legal, argues the former minister's attorney. Travis Chase of HGP Nightly News has more.
Even though former police legal advisor Claudette Singh had recommended that no criminal charges be instituted and there was nothing further to investigate, police 1 year later have charged former Minister of Public Infrastructure David Patterson and former General Manager of the Demerara Harbour Bridge Ralston Adams with fraud. The charge is in relation to an ongoing probe by the Special Organized Crime Unit over Patterson's role in sole sourcing a company which had conducted the feasibility study and design for a new Demerara Harbour Bridge. Patterson's attorney, Nigel Hughes, believes that the charge is more political than legal.
It's important that one understands the history, and I would invite the members of the press to look at it. Another point that is of some significance is that the feasibility study that was conducted is actually, parts of it are actually being used by this government as they move forward. So this matter and the institution of these charges seem clearly to be in the realm of political rather than legal.
Adams and Patterson appeared before Magistrate Leron Daly, who read the joint indictable charge to them. According to court documents seen by Nightly News, police have alleged that between November 18, 2016 and February 1, 2018 at Georgetown, they conspired with each other and with other persons unknown to defraud the Demerara Harbor Bridge Corporation of $162 million, funds of the Demerara Harbor Bridge Corporation asphalt plant project for a feasibility study and design for a new Demerara Harbor Bridge, which was not a function of the said Demerara Harbor Bridge Corporation, and for which the said money from the said Demerara Harbor Bridge Corporation asphalt plant account could not be used.
As you know, that money was paid by the government to the foreign company to provide the feasibility, Mr. Pat, and it was cabinet approved. All of this was cabinet approved, documented in the cabinet minutes. So the fact that these services were paid by the government directly to the contractor, I don't understand how Mr. Patterson either could have benefited from it or could have conspired to benefit from it.
Noting that it was a foreign government who had approached the then Guyana government expressing an interest in providing services to determine the feasibility of the new Demerara Harbor Bridge, Hughes explained that parts of that very feasibility study are being used by the PPP government.
And more importantly, the entire feasibility program was not initiated by Mr. Patterson. This was initiated by a foreign government expressing interest in providing those services to Guyana. Matter of fact, it was the Netherlands.
Patterson and Adams were released on $200,000 bail each, and the matter was adjourned until February 15. Several key APNU AFC parliamentarians picketed the court in support of Patterson. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Over in Paramaribo, Suriname, President Chandrika Prasad Santokhi has tested positive for coronavirus COVID-19, while several members of his cabinet who were in contact with him in recent days are being tested for the highly contagious virus, the government's information service CDS has confirmed. In an address to the nation on Sunday, Santokhi said he was feeling strong and had no symptoms of the virus, but would remain at home on the advice of health authorities. He is in isolation at his private residence, where he said he will be working for the next few days. The CDS said contact tracing is underway and the process of testing everyone who had been in contact with the president should be completed by Tuesday. So far, the Ministers of Foreign Affairs, International Business and International Cooperation, Spatial Zoning and Environment, and Finance and Planning have tested negative. According to the CDS press release, the office of the president is being disinfected. Cabinet ministers were instructed to work from home for the next 3 days and encouraged not to entertain visitors. They were also advised to take necessary precautions at home until they have been tested and get a negative result. Meantime, President Santokhi has called on residents to adhere strictly to the government's COVID-19 measures to help prevent the spread of the virus. There have been 7,246 confirmed cases recorded in Suriname since the start of the pandemic. There are also 682 active cases, of which 79 are being treated in hospital, including 7 patients in the intensive care unit. The death toll has reached 149. In January alone, 28 people died from the disease, making this month the deadliest since the virus was detected in Suriname on March 13th, 2020.
Did you know that your friends and family can now shop at the food fair from anywhere in the world and you can receive here in Grenada? The food fair and GrenadaMarket.com now make it possible through secure online shopping and personalized customer service. Simply send your loved ones a list of your preferred items or let them fill an online basket and the items will be available for pickup or delivery. Visit GrenadaMarket.com or thefoodfair.gd today for more details. The new norm. Spread the news.
I am Eddie Frederick. This has been Caribbean Perspective, a whole new approach to highlighting developments in the Caribbean. In the meantime, please continue to log on to CaribbeanPerspective.com for more daily news and more.